Choose you this day whom you will serve. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Lewis the Lunatic Landlord, Precursor to Preventable Problems with Payment and Power. I'm surrounded by suffering spreaders. This is Lewis the Lunatic Landlord Part 6. More problems with power. The power bill just dropped from $750 to $430 and may include a payment fee that, after paid off, could bring it into the mid to upper 200s a month. That's pretty good. Upper 200s, lower 300s, even $400 for 3 people with 3 units is a pretty decent deal. I imagine it's going to go up a little bit, and I can talk about that later, but there's really nothing to talk about, as you'll see here in a minute. Those are pretty good numbers, are happy days. Right? Well, no. Starting last month, I stopped using the clothes dryer, and I keep my washing to a minimum and keep the machines in good shape, to save power. And even once in a while, fix a catastrophic failure, which has got to be worth something. Well, so basically I'm out working harder to reduce the cost of my landlord. I don't have to do that, by law or contract or agreement. I'm just doing it to be awesome. I've got a single efficient AC set to 78 degrees. I've got an LED TV, an Energy Star rated stereo, a tiny hot water heater, a modern refrigerator. The winter's over, which means there's no more resistive heaters, which again, I can only run a maximum of 1.5 to 2 of them at a time. And when I ran 2 of them, everything else was off, to make that happen. And the other thing is I only regulate the temperature in half of my place, and it's reasonably well sealed and insulated. There's no way I'm pulling more than $100, if not less, a month, especially now that I, again, stopped using the dryer and everything else. Heck, I don't even take long showers, on a 6-gallon hot water heater, and just, it's an RV. It's not a place to just sit there and take a sauna. Let's see. Okay. Oh, and another benefit. He has yet to run me water and sewer lines, so I'm still dealing with hose water, having to go, and do extra effort to get drinking water because I can't just readily get it from my tap. Same with my sewer. I have to go and take my sewer, several hundred feet, maybe even a couple hundred yards away to the nearest clean out, and I got to do that in my own portable tank with my own tractor, my own equipment, and because he won't run a sewer line. I say won't, he wants to, but maybe with the power bill going from $750 to $430, and maybe even into the upper 200s, lower 300s, if there's fees that need to be paid off or whatever, payments. They're a little cryptic. I just basically trying to ask them straight up what the problems are when they have these problems like the water bill and stuff, and they treat me like I want them to be their enemy, or I don't know. They got problems. Anyway, again, really, he should have worked something out with the sewer and the water a long time ago in the budget. I'm even willing to, put money up front and work it out with rent and stuff. But just, nothing to do with that so far. Okay, so he won't even, budget in the water and sewer, and I can understand. It's an expensive upfront cost. But the problem is, last month he couldn't even pay the water bill. And then, he didn't let me know nothing was going on. And before it was too late, it cost an extra $100 for late fees and reconnect fees. Practically increasing that by 50%. Well, again, I went ahead and took care of that. Saved him $300. Even $200 if he would have paid it on time. Okay? But he couldn't pay the water bill. So after I took care of the water bill, my worth went up to $700, because I would have been $300 out of his pocket or his, mom's account that he would have had to pay to get the water turned back on. Plus the $450 for the power last month, $700. I'm assuming that's probably what she makes on SSDI. So I can see why she says she has no money for food, but wait a minute. That was just a couple of weeks ago, 20 days ago, not even 3 weeks ago, if even. And and only 9 days from deposit day and paying rent, and no food, no money. Something about, she talking about going up on a battery out of insanity because the cost is too high to live and all this stuff. And then she starts complaining about her son not chipping in there with the bills and stuff. And I'm like, thinking in the back of my mind, it's not really my problem. You know, because I mean, like I said, $300 plus $400 plus I'm $400 ahead, you know, on a deposit. You know, you guys got like $1,100 plus just for me. Plus, I'm assuming you get about $700. That's $1,800. 9 days ago, you know, value. At 9, you know, and so, you know, let's just break that down real quick, you know. So, and there's only a $430 power bill to pay. That's what you're complaining about. And you're talking about the power, you know, battery. So I'm assuming you're going to end up having because you're not. I'm going to assume, you know, kind of halfway verbally said this, that I'm assuming you're going to have the power turned off and try to live off of a battery. And I was trying to tell her that that's not going to work. You know what I mean? Without a way to put energy into that battery, it's not going to work. You're not going to live off of a battery. But she would, again, just kind of insane. Just, it's like, I'm like, all right, look, I don't care as long as my power doesn't get turned off. I'm like, look, I pay for the power. I'm like, and I'm even working hard to make the power bill go down. You just said it went from $750 to $430. What? And that's not, we all agreed that's not even that bad for 3 people. And you said it might even go lower after a fee. Why? Why are you bringing this on me? Why are you telling me this? Basically, you know, and I'm trying to be polite and nice at the same time. You know, I don't think that happened first. First, she was talking to me about wanting to check the mail. She doesn't have a key. She assumed I have a key. Of course, I don't have a key, but much to both of our dismay. You know, same with the thing with all the gates and crazy gates and the locks and everything. We both agreed it wasn't proper. You know, he's being a bad landlord. But I think she keeps complaining and saying she's paying the bill, but he's not giving her any of the rent money. And again, not my problems, but it is my problem if the power bill goes out. If she doesn't have money to buy food because she's paying the power, again, they need to learn some lessons. You know, 60, 70 something years old, probably a little too late, but whatever. Not my problem. Okay, so the second thing I learned, alright, so the power bill can barely get paid, if at all, and they have a major food shortage this month. Why are they complaining to me? I thought to myself. I pointed to the clothes on the line and pointed out my conservative power consumption for the second time that has declined to yet an even lower stable monthly amount. You know, so going back to what I was saying, I actually said that a little too early, so let me get back to the paragraph. I ended with a polite and caring, I expect to get what I pay for. Honestly, your money troubles are not legally mine, and if you or Lewis force them on me, I'll take you to court. So then at that junction, I found out, number 3, my rent is going up at least 50%, seemingly immediately, if not next month's payment. She says she's waiting on a card, food stamp card, and something else so she can pay her power bill and get food. I'm guessing what it is, she's got the money for either food or power. If she gets the food stamp card, she can do the food and pay the power. If she doesn't, after all said and done, then this is just coming to me now as, you know, way off into la la land here with this analysis. Anyway, but she couldn't clarify any of the actual details. I think a little bit out of cowardice and I don't know. Alright. She couldn't or wouldn't clarify any actual details because, you know, she said me and Lewis need to talk about it. Be honest with you, it seems like there's nothing to actually talk about. Seems like the decision's already been made. It seems I only need to be talked into fearing harm if I don't simply agree to the abuse. and harm is, an unwarranted or retaliatory eviction, harassment, coming up in my yard, yelling at me in the yard, blocking off these gates, all kinds of, all those kinds of things are harm to me. In fact, just the fact that I hesitate to go out in my yard at all is a form of harm and abuse and all that good stuff. Let's see. So at that moment, I emotionally collapsed on the inside. For despite being spiritually prepared for this behavior, it really irked me. All right, so now we'll go back to real-time reality. The storyline here. Like the physical. So at that point, Joanne, continues on complaining that rent's not high enough now, even though my electricity has gone down. I'm like, do you hear yourself? I'm thinking this in my head. And anyway, at that point, I got a little eccentric and raised my voice, reminding her, I mow, I pay the trash bill, I help repair and loan tools and time. Now I'm down to using one AC set to 78 degrees. I'm not using the expensive clothes dryers, and you want more? She responded about the big camper, and the previous people paid $600 to rent one of their units in the past. And I'm thinking, this is my own camper RV. We have an agreed to price. You can't change it without, just on the fly like that, without justification and agreement. And, and I set myself up. That was part of the agreement. I bought my power line, and until you put in the sewer and water, you really definitely have no right. And put my own pole in, so I've got full 30 amp instead of this 20 amp, barely 20 amp. Give me 50 amps, Even if you did all that, again, we'd negotiate a rent. 50% more, I doubt it. Because I'm not costing that much more in electricity, even if I were to use all 30 to 50 amps instead of 15 to 20. Alright. So anyway, I'm just talking about budget. So let's see. And then she started again complaining again about not being able to afford food and electricity at the current rates of budgeting. And I'm like, how am I having, this extra money to do this stuff with, and you can't even buy food? It's because you're spending your money on something you shouldn't. Whether it's, cheap Chinese takeout and delivery fees, or the D word, which I think it probably is. Not my fault. Then they mentioned something about her son not chipping in for the bills, and I'm thinking, oh, boo hoo hoo, wah. I don't really care. Just don't let my power get turned off. In the back of my head, I'm just keeping that real. And that's all that really matters to me. Is that, without litigation and a reason, no rent increase, you aren't getting rid of me because you just don't want me and don't like me because I don't like the way because I don't feed into your need for attention, your addiction. I don't feed that. I actually fight it. So okay, anyway, mechanically it's not my problem as long as everyone follows the law. But we know now not to expect the correct respect from these two. However, I lost it up front, shouting, my cost is going up, but the price and quality is going down. You sound like our government. At that point, I turned around and walked back to my place, containing myself, shouting a little bit, I need to think and cool off. I got over it real quick because I did a great job, in all honesty, and I can justify walking away at the end. You do have to remember that I am a CPTSD sufferer with traumatic brain injury, TBI, to his frontal lobe, during early development. Anyway, I finished the laundry, cleaning out the laundry machine of all the sand that Lewis likes to just junk it out with. No wonder his other machine has failed and he's down to the last public one that works. The way he does it, it won't be working much longer. So I'm getting ready to buy my own wash machine at this point. Anyway, I got the sand out and re-washed his clothes with some detergent. I'm going to assume he doesn't have detergent. It didn't seem like those clothes had any soap added to that water. I guess the drugs are a little more important if that's what the problem is. Anyway, I got it all done before the temporary relocation of his clothes was caught by the lunatic. Then I made this video. So the conclusion. I am not going to be financially abused by paying extra for their lack of self-control. I don't care that they are likely going to starve as long as my utilities are on and there's no harassment from them, just like we agreed upon and I paid for. So will the power become a problem requiring the police? It's not my decision. Remember the stage they have set. There's nothing to talk about, only to feel. I hope you enjoyed this. I imagine you can't wait to see what happens next, but I sure can. I'd rather just pay my rent and go on about my life. You know, I've got a second conclusion. I couldn't help myself. You know, Lewis takes advantage of his mom, but his mom allows it. They're not getting along right now, but I refuse to be an emotional tampon. It is sorry that Lewis is so bad with making and handling money, and that his mom allows his bad behavior to continue. In their minds, it seems they are out of options except forcing me to pay more or going without some basics. Again, not my problem, but I do have to say, why doesn't he get a job? So, what do you think? Should I confront him with that next time he gives me any trouble? Should I say, why don't you get a job? Comments below.
Answer the phone, Joshua.